Three to get ready now, go cat go, but don't you step on my blue suede shoe. Well, you can do anything but take me over my blue suede shoe. Well, you can knock me down, step in my face, slander my name all over the place. Well, do anything that you want to do, but honey, lay off them shoes and don't you step on my blue suede shoe.
About that new devil guy playing rock and roll, apparently.
Oh yeah, they
probably know him.
Yeah.
Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Oh
my
so
God, yeah,
dreamy.
I know.
He's so scorched now, though.
Yeah.
He is. He's so funny.
I know. And I love his clothes. His clothes, especially.
Yeah.
He's like all
Did you
oh,
see his hair?
Can you hand me that soda? I'm really thirsty right now. I can't believe they opened, what is this called? McDonald's all over.
I know, that guy just makes so much money. I don't think it's going to last that long.
Why?
Well, like, no one's going to want fast food all the time.
I don't know. I give it 3 years.
Give it 3 months.
I give it 5.
Let's make a deal then.
Okay. Hey, Christine, can you turn the TV for us? Let's watch something. Hey, look, Eisenhower's on.
With us today, a special interview with President Dwight Eisenhower. So, Mr. President, let's start it off flat out. What's one of your major concerns in your presidency?
Well, what is and has been my main focus all these years is international peace.
Yes, it seems that you directed the buildup of military forces for NATO, which is North Atlantic Treaty Organization, for those who didn't know.
It was something I fully supported, being that it was the first time in the multinational army was created to preserve the peace and not wage war.
Ah, yes, peace is what Americans want. Our sources tell us that you're very close with the other leaders of the post-war world. Can you clarify that?
Actually, yes. We have a wonderful relationship. Why, they're all old friends whom I had to know well during the war, and with whom I already had a sound working relationship.
Yes, yes. Care to mention any more details for your viewers?
Are you writing a book?
I apologize, Mr. President. I'm not cruising for a bruising. Just trying to give the viewers what they want. But moving along now, can you tell us a bit about what led to the creation of the International Atomic Energy Agency in 1957?
Well, it started out when I proposed the Atoms for the Peace program, whereby nations would pool their atomic information for peaceful purposes.
I dig. So, Mr. President, what have you done in regards to desegregation? I seem to have a smog in the noggin.
As you might have heard, in 1957, I used federal troops to enforce school desegregation in Little Rock after Governor Orville Faubus of Arkansas refused to comply with 1954 Supreme Court decision that ordered integration.
How could I forget? Why, Mr. President, you're so earthbound. Didn't you also do that thing? That doctrine or something? What did it do again?
I assume you mean the Eisenhower Doctrine. What was that? What was that it promised? What that was that it promised to aid any Middle Eastern nation that asked for help against communist attacks. We sent aid to the Lebanese government and nationalist China.
That's right, Mr. President. We don't want any Reds taking over anymore. Gotta completely total them. Now I'll ask you a question. Can you tell us a little more of the things you did?
Well, let's see. There's the Federal Aid Highway Act.
That was the largest peacetime construction program in the history of the nation, ain't it?
It appears so. Then there's the launch for the Explorer 1, our first national satellite. Oh, and the establishment of NASA.
Well, it looks like it's time to cop a breeze. We hope you enjoyed our short interview and learned some stuff too. Enjoy a word from our sponsors.
And shores are at home. Where you go, by your wings you'll be known.
Yes, by these wings you'll be known. You'll be recognized throughout the world as one of America's Knights of the Sky, an Air Force pilot. If you are single, between 19 and 26 and a half, you can join this chosen few. You'll train as an aviation cadet and graduate a lieutenant, earning more than $5,000 a year. Win silver wings to a golden future. Fly with the aviation cadets.
Making a trail in the sky. the Air Force team, the Sky Cadets with wings a-gleam. Sign up today, go the Air Force way, go up with the aviation cadets.
Oh my gosh, you've done so much. I know. What are we gonna do when you leave office? Can you think about it? I mean, next time there's an election, we're voting. It's so scary. And that's nuts. I wonder if we had a woman as president next year. Or a black president. That would never happen. I doubt that. What if there was? I guess that'd be pretty cool. Probably wouldn't be that great. Just kidding. So. True. Or women in space. Oh wow, like NASA? Oh my gosh. That'd be nuts. That would be. You think everything nuts? Well, everything's nuts over her. That's true. They're gonna be people just like that. I hope so. What about war though? War? Oh, that commercial we just saw. It reminded me, my brother is going to military. Really? Yeah, I kind of wish he did it. Hey, gosh! The news is on.
Hello and good evening. I'm Tina Nguyen. I'm Ashley Sorrentino.
And I'm Kathy Vu, here on Montgomery with your Channel 8, 8 o'clock news.
We start out this evening with an overlook at an event starting in early December. When members of the National Association of Advancement of Colored People, Rosa Parks refused to surrender her seat to a white man on the bus. With her sustaining from riding the bus, she has inspired a massive boycott to all civil reform activists. The dynamic duo Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks have used their social standpoints to help spread the idea of peaceful activism. With peace walks and powerful speeches, they plan to use their non-violent, Gandhi-inspired reform techniques to help support what has become known as the civil rights movement.
Morning. Police were astonished to find Bell Street Baptist Church completely demolished from an explosion. It is assumed to be intentional, but investigators are still searching the premises. There is also an estimated $20,000 worth of damage done to Mount Church. Negro Reverend Abernathy's home was also hit as well, but thankfully him and his family were not home to encounter the explosion. Alleged members of the underground white supremacy group, the Ku Klux Klan, are under investigation and interrogation.
That is so terrible. I wish there was something we could do to help those poor buildings and console all of those congregation members. It's such a shame.
Yeah, I know, it's so sad. I'm sure there's something we can do until then, but for time's sake, we have to move on.
Are higher education budget cuts lurking in our future? Yes. College financial committees spent long amounts of time identifying different school-wide operations and agreed to cut budget amounts up to $750,000 a year. This includes a slash in funds for Alabama State College for Negroes up to about $250,000 a year. Also in Birmingham, 41-year-old Ward W. McFarland, the director of all of Alabama State Docks, is charged with 3 counts of charging income tax evasions in front of the federal grand jury. His charges include filing a false and fraudulent return for 3 years, 1949, 1950, and 1951. McFarland is accounted for paying $2,145, where he should have paid $12,385. U.S. District Judge Seaborn H. Lynn fixed bond at $2,500.
Today, the Supreme Court trial of the 5 cases combined, Brown v. Board of Education, decided that the separate but equal quota was not constitutional. It is declared that it violates the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which guarantees all citizens equal protection of the law. The Supreme Court is slowly integrating facilities in order to impose a slow and painless transition for everybody.
EC&M reports that 25% of electrical construction has been pushed towards modernization of electrical buildings. Power to heat, cool, and ventilize buildings has business increased to push over $2.2 billion in construction alone. Stewart writes, electrical industry people, whether they feel like they are directly concerned with an air conditioning application or not, have a real and important stake in its future development. We ought to lend every encouragement to its growth. Economists agree that the improvement of the air conditioning boom will help the economy.
Snap, what a happy happy sound. Snap is the happiest sound I've found. You may clap, rap, tap, slap, but snap makes the world go round. Snap, crackle, pop, Rice Krispies. I say it's crackle, the crispy sound. You gotta have crackle or the clock's not wound. Geese cackle, feathers tickle, bells buckle, beats pickle, but crackle makes the world go round. Snap, crackle, pop, Rice Krispies. I insist that pop's the sound. The best is missed unless pop's around. You can't stop hopping when the cereal's popping. Pop makes the world go round. Snap, crackle, pop, Rice Krispies. Let's go for Kellogg's Rice Krispies. Snap, it's crackle, what a happy sound. You gotta have crackle or the sound not bound. You can't stop hopping when the cereal's popping. Snap, crackle, pop makes the world go round.
Well, in the Reader's Digest, the Methodist Pink Fringe accused Methodist members to be communist supporters. The attacks were said to be staged, but all accused members have been under custody and are in interrogation until proven guilty or otherwise.
Along with the civil rights protests and boycotts, activists have been working to promote church integration. The uneasy transition has been slow, but is coming. 25% Protestant and 11 interdenominational churches and 4 Eastern Orthodox churches have come together to form the NCC, the National Council of Churches of Christ. This is proposed to be potentially one of the most influential bodies in American Protestantism. With this NCC, they have published a revised standard of the Bible.
In other news, the recommended book of the week is Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. Bradbury's novel reflects the effect of McCarthy's Red Scare. The Red Scare brought upon a time of conformity and censorship, which can be seen in the novel Society, as firefighters are ironically burning books and as the population conforms to society's ideals. Bradbury is strongly against censorship, and the idea of book burning was brought apart and books removed from the Army Library, which Eisenhower later returned. Some ideas in Bradbury's books are forged from the effects of the Red Scare on the people of the time. Here we present an excerpt from the Senator McCarthy's speech that started it all. I have here in my hand a list of 205, a list of names that were made known to the Secretary of State as being members of the Communist Party, and who, nevertheless, are still working and shaping policy in the State Department. As you know, very recently, the Secretary of State proclaimed his loyalty to a man guilty of what has always been considered as the most abominable of all crimes, being a traitor to the people who gave him a position of great trust. High treason. He has lighted the spark which is resulting in a moral uprising, and will end only when the whole sorry messes of twisted, warped thinkers are swept from the national scene, so that we may have a new birth of honesty and decency in government. That's it for this week's Book of the Week.
This is the editorial on gays and lesbians. On television, Leave It to Beaver portrayed the ideal family. However, the traditional standards are about to be broken. The upper and middle class lesbians of the 1950s are usually discreet about their sexual orientation, entertaining partners privately, and sometimes marrying a man in order to cover their secret sexuality and also for companionship. Among working class lesbians, the 1950s have an active bar and sports scene. For example, softball teams were a popular place to meet lesbians, and a heavy emphasis on butch femme roles in relationships. Although the fictional rumors portrayed butches as homewreckers and femmes as their innocent, heterosexual all-along victims, in reality femmes were not by no means passive pups. By their butch counterparts, they were identified as lesbians, took personal risks to seek out other lesbians, and participated actively in the subculture. Unfortunately, lesbians who would not or could not select a role were derisively referred to as kikis and were viewed with suspicion by other working-class lesbians. This made sense given that undercover police or FBI agents sometimes infiltrated lesbian bars. A woman who didn't dress right or didn't know how to talk gay was likely to be an undercover cop, so other lesbians steered clear. An arrest, of course, could cost the woman her job, her housing, her family, her friends, and sometimes her very life. As for gays, they are, along with lesbians, scrutinized and put under suspicion of communism during McCarthy's speech for Red. Gays, along with lesbians, were also accused of having mental illness, which was thought to have been the main reason for their homosexuality. Gays also saw gays and lesbians taking the first important steps towards change, which was gradually become a large and diverse civil rights movement.
It sounds like America's going to have to dance to the beat of a different drum. We'll be right back after a few moments. Thank you for watching Channel 8.